Hey guys, welcome back to Honey Rock Acres. Today's video is move out day for our meat birds. Here on our homestead, we've raised one round of Cornish cross last year, and this year we were raising McMurray's Big Red Broiler. These guys have been through the brooder stage already, and now it's time to get them outside on the pasture where they belong. Figure if it's a nice enough day for all of us to get outside, then it's a nice enough day for these guys to get outside. These are our Big Red Broilers. It's a 4-week-old chick. And while they're not Cornish cross big, these are still some big old birds. Look at those feet. They got large feet. We've got one more 4-week-old chicken there. I'll show you guys the difference once we get him out. We're fortunate enough, we're at 4 weeks, which is a good age to get them out. They're good and feathered. We don't have any temps under 50 degrees for the next week, so I think now's good. So we're gonna get these guys out on pasture where they belong. All right, guys. Tell you what, go get that blue lid out of there for me, out of the garage. It's laying over there by the tree. It's rolling on me. Yep. We don't want them coming out. All right. Don't let them come out, okay? It's your job.
Let's keep it like this. Let's keep it like this. Are you putting all of them in?
Yep. I can't reach them. So this is the chicken tractor that we built last year. It worked great for the Cornish cross, and I've talked about it before. It's a little heavy, but it's got a good A-frame roof. We get a lot of winds, and the winds haven't caused us any trouble with it, which is probably good because of the weight. It does make it a little bit difficult to move it, but I think that's a good trade-off, at least for now. Now, we haven't had any predator problems with our baby chicks. We do have one guard dog who is sometimes a predator, and she hasn't done that in a while, but the last time we had baby chicks in this thing, she was really little. So this year will be her first year sort of as an adult, although I'd argue at a year old she's still not really an adult. But she's full size, and I want to make sure that she didn't cause any trouble. So we'll be using this as a continued training opportunity, but I feel pretty good about this. She'd have to do a lot of damage to get in there. Now, if you guys haven't seen this before, this is our take on a traditional chicken tractor. We have a video on how we built this if you guys have any interest. And we'll probably be building another one, probably not exactly the same, but probably pretty similar. This one was a little bit of a trial and error, and while I like it, there are some modifications that I'll be making next time. All right, it's time to go get the rest of the chicks, get them out here, and see if we can't get them acclimated. These chickens are friends, not food. They are friends, not food. There's several reasons why you might want to raise chickens on pasture, and for us, it's health. The health reasons are the #1 reason. We found out last year that I could eat these pasture raised birds, whereas the stuff out of the store, most of that I can't eat. I'm allergic to it. I'm not 100% sure why, but I haven't been able to eat that stuff since I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. And last year, after we raised some on pasture, it was life-changing. And you know, not just for the health of us, but for the health of the birds. I mean, a lot of these factory raised birds, they're raised in small cages, they're on concrete, and most of them never see the light of day. These guys, they get to spend pretty much their entire life on grass, in the sun, and yeah, they may get some rain here and there, but these guys will be perfectly happy with that as opposed to what they'd be living in otherwise. Not only are the birds that are raised like this tend to be healthier, they tend to be stronger, they tend to grow better. These guys are out eating bugs, they're getting exposure to sun, so they're getting more vitamins. You know, a lot of the others, they don't get that, and that's a lot of why they're dosed with a lot of, you know, vaccines and things, because they're in an environment where they're heavily concentrated and they're much more susceptible to that sort of stuff. But out here, yeah, I mean, they could get something from a wild bird or something, but they're much less likely to do so. And they get a healthier diet than just eating grain their whole life. Grass, bugs, and yeah, of course we feed them grain, but we're feeding them good stuff. We're feeding them, you know, as healthy as possible, and they're pretty much getting an exclusively organic diet. And I firmly believe that if your food is healthy, that'll help make you more healthy. Here we go, guys. You know, as we already talked about earlier, these guys are not your typical Cornish cross. And most of what you buy in the grocery store probably comes from a Cornish cross chicken. And the main reason for that is that they grow faster. These guys are not going to grow as quickly. Now also, we were actually looking to raise the Cornish cross again, but based on the way our calendar was set up, these guys are what became available first. And so we decided we'd give them a try. Now, one of the things I'm very interested in is whether or not these guys actually taste any different. There's a lot of people that suggest that these guys actually taste a little better, but then there's other people that'll say, no, they're not any better, or in fact, they may not even like them as much because they're just used to the others. But either way, we're gonna raise them out and eat them. Aside from the obvious differences, these guys are not ready as soon. The Cornish crosses, they're table ready in about 8 weeks. These guys, best case scenario is about 10 weeks. In most cases, it's actually 12 to 14. Now these guys are a little bit nervous right now, partially because, well, Lucille's out there and they've never seen her before. And she's a little excitable because these guys are new. But they're also learning grass for the first time. Now there's our mystery chick, same age. Look at the size difference in him. If you do decide to pasture raise chickens, there's several ways to do it. If you do it like this or use any other sort of mobile chicken tractor, one thing to be cautious of is when you first go to move it, these guys like to huddle along the back. And so it's important to be cautious as you're moving this, that you don't run them over. We actually had that happen last year. We didn't harm the chicken, but we did run over and pin one. And I mean, I felt terrible about it. He was fine. No harm, no foul, but I still feel bad. I don't want them to get hurt. Figure I'd give you guys a little idea of what we did here. A lot of this was reclaimed wood, so these boards aren't necessarily rotting in here the way it would look. They're just old. A lot of this was reclaimed pallet wood, except the bottom. We used mostly pressure treated on the bottom because it was in contact with the ground a lot. One more thing is I've got to get another water. This is not going to be big enough for them as they get a little bit bigger. They're already going through like 2, maybe a little more of these a day. So we're gonna be getting a larger water for them here in the next couple days. You guys enjoying a little bit of sun? If you end up building a large one like this that's heavier, I found this thing to be an absolute lifesaver. This is called a chick lift, and they make several different kinds, but this thing is great because it helps break ground contact on the back. So if you're building a lighter one, you can just put it on skids, maybe taper the edges and just drag it. But this thing's too heavy for that. We tried it and it didn't work. So this chick lift, you stand on it, it lifts the back up like so, and now you got wheels. And I'll tell you, it makes a world of difference if you're dragging this thing by hand. Alright, so the other thing about doing pasture raised chicken the way we're doing it is that this chicken tractor needs to be moved pretty much at least once a day. They might be okay for 2 days at this age, but as they get a little bit bigger, just like my brooder, they're gonna, well, fill it up. And you don't want them on that manure. The benefit of them being out like this is you got nothing to clean and you're fertilizing your land. The bad news is you got to do a little bit of labor to get that thing moved, and you got to move it at least once a day. And as they get bigger, you're probably moving it twice a day. And I can tell you, once we got close to the end with our Cornish crosses last year, we actually got to where moving them even twice a day wasn't really enough. So we actually set out a net and let them move within the net, and that really helped distribute a little bit and save us a little bit of effort, because the reality is I still work a full-time job and I just can't be out here several times a day moving them. It's just not feasible. Just be aware, if you get ready to try and do this, it's not hard, but it does take a little bit of time and some dedication. And other than that, food and water every day, and as long as we stay warm, we really shouldn't have any issues. Now, if they do end up getting a little bit cool, which we should be good this time based on the forecast, but this is Tennessee, and well, Mother Nature can be temperamental. But we should be good to go. And if it doesn't get cold, no big deal. If it does, the good news about the way ours is set up is we got a solid back on it. They can huddle back there in the corner and stay warm, and it helps keep them from being straight in the wind. But worst case, we can always add a tarp across the back to help seal that off and keep any drafts out. But by the time we get to cold weather again, they should be big enough that they're perfectly fine and they can handle the cool weather. We're not likely to get any more significant freezes. Well, that's about it, getting the chickens out. They're in a good spot. Like I said, not a ton of work. They're out here enjoying the weather like we are. If you want to see how these guys turn out and see how we continue to raise our pasture chicken here, consider subscribing. If you've got any questions or thoughts on the chicken tractor, check out our other video where we build this thing. Or if you've got any questions or thoughts, feel free to leave a comment, and we'll see if we can address some of the questions you might have. I guess I'll work on getting this brooder cleaned up. Good news is we got some fertilizer for our compost pile. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting us. Hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.